Team ban. EG's turn to ban.
Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. Welcome to our return broadcast. The Western Qualifier of the G-1 Champions League resumes right here and right now with a North American Dota showdown. So excited to get this underway. Liquid taking on Evil Geniuses, a battle of rivals. Team Liquid enters play today with a recent resume that gives them legitimate claim to being the best team in the Western Hemisphere. They've put together a jaw-dropping 11-3 record across the month of April, piecing together a kill list of teams like Empire, Mouse, Dignitas Alliance, and many more, all on their way to being crowned D2L Season 2 champions, and as well as a semi-final appearance in the DreamHack Invitational. In short, they're the exact opposite of their opponents today. They're a team that, at least recently, is as steady as a rock in their consistency in play. Liquid will be the hands-down favorite today, make no mistake, but they were the favorites 3 days ago, too, when they took a stunning upset at the hands of EG in the We Play Dota 2 League group stage. Now, EG is a tale of highs and lows, consistency and inconsistency, glory and defeat. And it all dates back to last year. Following their remarkable run to reach the finals of DreamHack Winter 2012, EG began to show some severe stability and consistency problems, leading to a schizophrenic play at both the micro and macro scale. One day they'd be the playmakers and superstars we all know and love. The next day they'd not only lose, but lose ugly. They put together a record where every good win was balanced by a disappointing loss. But now in April, we're beginning to see signs of the team finding their stride once again. This month, they very quietly put together a solid 6-2 record, besting Mouse and Fnatic, and more importantly, hanging a goose egg on Liquid in their last meeting mere days ago. They did this with Bambo filling in for Beatiz, which will be the case here today. Now, they will be at full strength looking to continue their run so far and go ahead and extend those bragging rights that they earned with their win a few days ago. And that's all basically the context of where these two teams sit. But then, of course, you have the fact that this is the G1 Western Qualifiers. These teams are on their way or trying to play their way into a qualification spot at the G1 Live LAN Finals. Now, EG did lose to Absolute Legends in our first round, but with AL forced to pull out of the G1 Western Qualifier due to some internal conflicts, some other obligations in their players, and so on and so forth, EG has once again found themselves in a place to redeem themselves. Liquid's a team that I've gotten to get a real good look at over the past few weeks, not just the way everyone has, getting to see them play as often as they do. But in the D2L playoffs is really where I got to examine where they stand right now. And I'll tell you what's really terrifying about them is how easily they can switch gears based on what they perceive as their opponent's strengths and weaknesses. Liquid has no problem running extremely offensive lineups, extremely aggressive lineups, and going all in on a mid game. And at the same time, they tend to always leave themselves a bit of an out. They tend to always leave themselves some kind of mid game, be it with a surprise pick of an anti-mage in 4th or 5th position. We've seen that happen a few times. But they like to play very stable lineups that can execute in the early and in the mid game, but always have something to fall back on. Evil Geniuses, really, it's hard to say where they are right now. They've had a lot of switches going on. Demon, for example, replaced Fear at the 1 position, or at least that's been the word on the street. But the last time we saw EG here in the G1, Demon did not play the 1. He went back to his typical mid role. So it's really hard to predict exactly what we're going to see here today, and we'll just call it as we see it and as we go along. So EG getting the EO and the Magnus. Got to stop calling EO Wisp. It's just going to be so hard. But picking up EO and Magnus, two heroes that can bring a lot of pressure to bear at all phases of the game, but in particular, right around that mid-game phase, so it looks like they're going to want to fight early. Same with Liquid, though. You pick up a Bad Rider, a Rubik, and now a Gyrocopter. Looking at the Rubik and Gyro picks, love those two heroes picked up in conjunction with each other just because of the flexibility they have. You can build an offensive tri-lane around those two if you really want to. You can send the Gyro mid. Probably not going to be the case since we have a Bad Rider here. But seeing the Magnus pick out of Evil Geniuses, the door is open for that. You can do something creative, like go ahead and jungle the Bad Rider and then send the Gyrocopter mid just to get him some early levels and anticipate the Magnus being there. Use Flak Cannon to harass him out, make his life a little bit more difficult, force Evil Geniuses to bottle crow a bit more than they might like to. Or you can solo farm the Gyro if you want to run an offensive tri-lane that you draft out from this point on. So both teams very wide open. EG, though, a little bit more pigeonholed. There are a very select few heroes that tend to work really well with EO. CK, an option they might want to look at here. Tiny, of course. Sven's there. One of the more creative picks that I like to see paired with EO is Ursa. I feel like that combination is actually a lot more potent than a lot of people give it credit for. And we actually got to see Ursa in play last week when Kai P picked him up and managed to beat Empire with the big old mean and nasty bears. So
5 seconds
Ursa
remaining.
always fun and just a backdoor pick that Evil Geniuses could rely on. So instead of picking up the hero to go with the EO pick, they just go ahead and round themselves out. Darkseer, Magnus, very, very potent in conjunction with each other. Very easy to land a high value reverse polarity whenever Darkseer leads off with the vacuum wall combination. But Team Liquid, I mean, when you look at the two teams, what really stands out is Liquid's got a bit more of an AoE-oriented sort of a, well, I shouldn't say that. They've got more of a single-target disable, but AoE-focused sort of a teamfight approach. Bat Rider with the Flame Trail that he's going to leave with Firefly is very, very potent in early and mid-game fights. I mean, the damage on it just really is easy to neglect how much damage that can do. Then you have Rubik with Fade Bolt, another ability, very easy to neglect just how much damage that can output on top of the damage reduction that comes inherent with the ability. Then Gyrocopter skill set in total when you're talking about Flat Cannon with Rocket Barrage called out and so forth. EG doesn't really have a whole lot of damage per se right now, but they have a lot of ways to set people up to do damage. So that's going to be their number one priority going into their 4th and 5th draft. I mean, whenever you're talking about Magnus, he's a hero that can make any carry better. The Lone Druid, the Lifestealer are already banned out, so you might want to keep an eye on heroes. Phantom Lancer's still around. Don't know that he'll survive here. I'd actually be a little surprised if Liquid allowed him to survive the ban phase. Not to say they can't deal with it. I mean, they've already got a Gyrocopter, and if Bat Rider can get the jump on a Phantom Lancer, I mean, just having the Bat Rider on the map makes it really, really hard for the enemy team to try and play themselves or try to pigeonhole themselves with too much of a late-game-oriented team, just because Bat is so good and gives you so much advantage in the mid game. And that's usually where you're going to see teams that are built around a Bat Rider try to peak. And Gyrocopter certainly kind of grooves with that. His, depending on how you want to build him, probably the more typical way you see him built now is to get something up like Phase Boots, and then a set of drums, then maybe a Shadow Blade if you're really wanting to get that mid-game advantage in terms of damage, or you can play it a lot more stable and just rush out the BKB after getting one survivability item. Ring of Aqualake can fit itself in there quite well as well. But yeah, I mean, you look at what EG's banning now with the Puck and the Storm Spirit. Those are more heroes that really want to fight early on, more heroes that really have an edge in that 15 to 25 minute window, that 20 to 30 minute window, so on and so forth. So EG not wanting Liquid to get any more potent in that regard. Team Liquid, on the other hand, taking away the global presence of the Nature's Prophet certainly would have synergized quite well with EO +1. CK going to be taken out, and I suspect Tiny might be the next choice that they ban out here. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, there's the Tiny ban. So they are going to let PL through. And that's okay, again, for them. Looking at Evil Genius's lineup, PL is one of those heroes that teams and players of all skill levels, be it high skill, medium skill, professional skill, he's really uncomfortable to play against because he has a lot of wiggle room in terms of being able to recover after a bad start. If he comes under a lot of pressure, he can still bounce back and farm his items up just on the strength of how the hero works. The fact that he can just go into the jungle, he can farm multiple jungle camps at once with his illusions, and that just gets better and better as the game goes on. And really, he only needs a couple of items to be effective. I mean, usually now you'll see something like Tranquil Boots, drums, then a Diffusal, then a Heart, but you can honestly skip the drums if you feel really comfortable with where you are with your farm rate and where you are with trying to get up your damage potential early on. And he can just maul a hero like a Gyrocopter if he can get on top of him. So EG going to go ahead and, again, just synergizes with exactly what I was talking about. The fact that Liquid has a team already that is very potent in the mid game, and EG not wanting it to get any more potent with the power of a Juggernaut. So Liquid going to show us our 4th pick now. And, at this point, this is going to be what this is the sort of pick that's basically going to dictate exactly what Liquid's going to be doing. Shadow Demon available, an excellent hero that works in any number of contexts. But he's a hero that even with a very scant few levels, even just having a level 6, he's very, very good because of the strength of Demonic Purge. Disruption is an excellent offensive and defensive skill. He gives you a lot of flexibility in what you want to do and how you want to play out your lineup and so on and so forth. So, again, waiting to see what Liquid wants to show us here. And I'd be a little bit surprised if they didn't just go ahead and decide to play very offensively here. Show us a pick here that is going to want to fight even earlier on. Less Shrek available as well. That would give them a little bit of extra push, and they do have plenty of push. It's easy to neglect just how much push you have. Queen of Pain works just as well. Another hero who's going to have excellent damage output in the very early stages of the game. That does indicate most likely it's going to be a farming Gyrocopter. seeing that, Bat Rider's probably going to want to wind up in the off lane. They could still offensively trialing this if they want to, and that's not something Liquid's shy about. This is a classic situation where you'll sometimes see Liquid throw out a Visage pick, and Visage in an offensive trialing that's already going to be weak on the side of EG. I mean, EO is just not that good of a laner. He does have some survivability in the sense that he can tether to get himself out of trouble. He can, one of the ways that you can weather the storm with heroes like that is to just get a bottle or literally two up and share them on EO so he can continue to regen himself as well as his lane via the tether. So EG has options available to them. Picking up the Bane, that's perfectly fine. It's another hero like Shadow Demon who's very good offensively and defensively. Nightmare is a great skill to bail your buddies out whenever they're engaged upon. But again, given that they lack any sort of real carry potential right now, Liquid might just honestly go with a Visage pick or go with a Leshrac pick, something like that, to follow things up and just go ahead and put the screws to EG as early as they possibly can. In fact, I think that would be the right call to make here because it does seem pretty obvious what they're going to want to do. EO and Bane +1 in the defensive tri-lane, Magnus and mid, Darkseer either in the woods or in the off lane. If he wants to sack the off lane, that's perfectly fine too. But the problem with them showing a look like that is Luka can then just change it up and start to roam the Rubik plus whatever support they pick up with their last pick here and just leave the Gyro to free farm against either an open lane or against the Darkseer who's not going to be able to do a whole lot except maybe cut the creeps. But even then, Gyro should have no problem coping with that just because of how quickly he can flash farm an entire wave. They're going to go ahead and grab the Chin. And that does surprise me a little bit. Just because that makes it a little bit more transparent. But at the same time, Liquid is one of those teams that actually does continue to run Chen off in an offensive tri-lane once in a while. It's, that's something that fell out quite some time ago. When I say quite some time ago, I'm talking like this time last year that was beginning to not be as popular. Usually if you're going to run a hero like that is creep based and you want to have in the jungle in an offensive tri-lane, Enchantress tends to be a bit of a better choice just because of how quickly she can bring two creeps into the lane as opposed to Chen who has to get himself to level 5 to really be at max efficiency, and at least in that regard. But EG going to go ahead and pick up this Finn, so almost certainly going to be farming this Finn. We get to see Magnus plus Finn, and I mentioned briefly the EG's run at DreamHack, and that's certainly a combination that characterized their time and their impressive run-through at DreamHack. So Liquid has a much more well-rounded lineup, I feel. Sven, and I mentioned him whenever we first saw the EO pick. He is a hero that can work with him. Usually you'll see CK, Tiny, Ursa. Well, not Ursa, excuse me. Ursa's really the surprise pick if you want to do something different. Sven is the more typical of those two. But still, he's not usually your first choice to go with an EO. But he can be used very effectively. But what's going to matter immensely here is EG has to have a good laning phase. And with the Chin pickup, I'm not completely convinced Liquid's not going to offensively tri-lane it. They very well may. And I don't think there's any problem with that. But if they want to play it safe, that makes a ton of sense too. So anyway, I'm actually having a little bit of frame rate loss here. I'm not completely sure why. But anyway, we'll go ahead and play it out, get underway. If you're just tuning in, this is Game 1 of this best of 3 between Evil Geniuses and Team Liquid here in the G-1 Western Qualifier. So, Liquid making their way on up to top lane now. Yeah, there actually is a little bit of frame rate loss on my side. I very much apologize for that and have no idea what the source of it happens to be. I'll try and sort that out in Game 2. I'm not going to interrupt the broadcast here, but not going to look quite as smooth as I normally would like it to. But anyway, looks like I should be able to run through our lineups without too much of a problem since both teams moving towards different pieces of real estate. On the side of Liquid, we're going to have TC farming up our gyrocopter. That's one of the heroes he specializes in. Korra going to be handling our Queen of Pain, no doubt. He'll be setting up shop in mid. Fluff, the captain, going to be running on our Chen. Bad Rider going to be played by Bulba. And the last time I saw Bulba Bad, well, I take it back. I saw Bulba Bad a few times in the D2L playoffs. I was a little surprised to have seen it originally a few weeks ago because that's just not a hero he's super well known on, but he has been adding it to his repertoire and been playing very solidly the few times I have seen it. So looking forward to seeing his performance now. And IX Mike going to be handling our Rubik. On the other side of the river, going to have Melk playing on our Bane. EO going to be played by JL. Magnus going to be handled here in mid by Demon, so he won't be in the one position. This guy will. Fear, who's going to be be playing our Sven, and Darkseer are going to be handled by Sexy Bambo. Now, Bambo is the stand-in for EG here today, a player who has a bit of a reputation in a good way. He's a very fun player to watch. He is one of the single most high-risk, high-reward players you're ever going to see. He and Demon both really play that style of Dota, and it tends to be feast or famine. Either they have a really good lane or really good game, or it tends to be a little sketchy. So we'll be keeping an eye on both of them, but if there's anyone standing in for BDiz, love me some BDiz. Good to see Bambo back in action. Haven't broadcasted him in quite some time. So, seeing the way these lanes are working out so far, Mike is under cover of an invis rune, making his way up to top. And yeah, Fluff is hanging out here at the secret shop, so looks like he wants to cross over and go ahead and put together an offensive approach, an offensive look to this tri-lane. This is kind of what I expected, really. TC's not going to struggle too much here. His tower shouldn't take a lot of damage once he gets a few levels under his belt, just because he's going to be able to flash farm the waves once they do get under the tower if he really wants to. And we can see Mike still under cover of an invis. He's going to show himself. Goes ahead and uses the telekinesis. Jayo's right there, but Bulba there going to eat the Stormhammer. There's the hookup from Jayo onto Fear. Here comes Fluff. Fluff has nothing much to contribute other than right clicks, and everyone should make it away safely here. So Fluff, still just level 1, had the Ursa creep, but the creep not really in range to contribute much of anything. And the lane thus revealed. And again, this isn't something that's completely odd. I mean, it's just kind of a throwback, and it's something that Liquid is one of the few teams that is willing to do this as regularly as they do. Run a Chen in an offensive tri-lane. And I suspect the reason that they're opting to do it like this is because of the weakness that an EO brings to a defensive tri-lane. He's just not going to contribute a whole lot until he's level 6. He can help you with regen, but for the most part, he's just a ranged creep. And this might be a situation where Liquid even looks to take an early tower and then start bouncing around the map on the strength of... Oh, there we go. There's the lag. Yep. And start bouncing... Oh, more lag. Oh, boy. Yay! Nothing like a little lag to start things off. But, yeah, it looks like everybody's ready to go. But, on the strength of this lineup that I had been talking about, the fact that they do have a lineup that can and will fight early and fight very effectively at that. And trying to keep that Sven down, going to be very, very important. I mean, Sven going to be made better by virtue of Empower, but in and of itself, just God Strength, even at level 1, is just an unbelievable handful to deal with. And what you really want to do is try to take fights against Sven before he can get up some core items, before he can tank himself up, before he can up his attack speed with a Mask of Madness or items along those lines. Taking a look at the last hits and where things stand, we can already see Liquid off to an advantage everywhere. Queen of Pain leading with 10. And looks like we got more lag. And I'm hoping this isn't... Well, I'm not going to lie. I kind of... Oh, there we go. Looks like someone disconnected. Gonna be another good day. Gonna be another good day. Welp, says Milk. Yep. Yeah, it's definitely server lag. And Milk dropping the knowledge bombs. Internet is a bad place for games, guys. Looks like we've got Pikachu back. G-1 Dota. But so long as it's not a single player being singled out, I think we're in okay shape. But anyway, our Gyro doing quite well for himself. He's sitting at 10 in that bottom lane. But Bambo, I mean, and that's the thing about a Darkseer, and one of the reasons the hero, despite all of the changes that have taken place, why the hero is still considered, you know, oh, mercy. This is no fun. More server lag. And are we even going to have a pause? Yeah, they're just not even going to worry about it. They're just going to keep it trucking. But one of the reasons the hero does remain so popular, his utility is excellent throughout the entire game. I mean, he is one of those heroes that... He has one of those abilities in Wall of Replica where he can just go, oh, you're in a super farmed carry that can 1v5. How about I make an illusion of you? How about I make a replica of you that kills your whole team as well? You know, one of those liability heroes that just by his nature counters almost any sort of late game. But he also has extremely good early laning phase as well. He's going to find his farm, be it in the jungle, be it in the lane, no matter the matchup. And he's going to find his levels pretty easily. So Bambo in that role is going to do quite well. And what he's going to be trying to do is what we're seeing right here. He's just going to cut the creeps, try to make things a bit uncomfortable here for TC, maybe try to whittle him down to you know, low health, etc. But for the most part, again, the strength of the gyrocopter, especially on the back of Rocket Barrage, and how well that... Oh, hang on, there's a tether, and the Centaur Conqueror right on his heels, but Stomp not going to be able to catch his target. But again, he can flash farm the lanes with Rocket Barrage and Flat Cannon, which we can see he's already maxing 3 points already into the Rocket Barrage. Those abilities also make it hard to gank him unless you're really solid with your timing. His ability, the amount of damage that Rocket Barrage outputs whenever he's able to isolate himself against the one hero is just absurd. You're talking 690 as early as level 5, or excuse me, as early as level 7, assuming he takes call down at level 6. But so far, everything remains pretty stable. We're 4 minutes in, don't have a first blood on the board yet. Korok and Demon getting a little chancy with each other here in mid lane, but both look like they're going. Taking a look at Bambo. If I can click him, there we go. Just completed his soul ring, so that's going to give him even more sustain there in that lane. Fear. Yeah, doesn't have a point in the cleave, no surprise there. I mean, just really not a lot that's worth mentioning at this point. Both teams just trying to eke out what little advantage they can. Right now, the advantage is definitely going to Liquid. 3 of the top 4 farmers all belonging to Liquid. And again, this is just what you get when you pick an EO. You have to anticipate this. If you're put under pressure at all, you're going to struggle just because he is essentially a range creep until level 6. And yeah, we can already see TC abusing Flat Cannon against Bambo. Bambo with the Stout Shield, still not enough to give him what he needs to just be able to stand in the face. And this is one of those scary situations where if you're EG, you have to recognize, and I'm sure they did their homework, they always do, this is one of TC's better heroes. This is not like, you know, a hero that TC sometimes plays. TC plays a lot of Gyrocopter and knows the hero inside and out in almost every matchup. And solo farming the Gyro in a safe lane after an offensive tri-lane is drafted is something they do very regularly. And he's going to know how to deal with the Darkseer. He's going to know how to deal with almost any hero you would normally put in that role. Now we're going to have Fear hook up with Jo. They're looking for a target. Mike is going to be there. He's going to eat the Storm Hammer. He's down to about half health. Fear doing a lot of damage. Firefly damage is there as well, and we're going to see first blood go to Fluff. Mike going to be cleaned up by Fear, but the advantage going to end up going Liquid's way as Milk going to burn to death in the Firefly soup, and Fear trying to pursue this out. Going to spin the Storm Hammer. Might be able to get a kill here as Demon hooks up. Shockwave's there. Makes it 2 for 2, so an even trade on the scoreboard. The slight advantage going the way of Liquid because of the first blood, but we have our first blood on the soil, and after just about 6 minutes of quiet time, finally, we get a little bit of action. So, Fear, pretty sure you got one of those. Yeah, he did. That's very good for him. In fact, Fluff getting 2 kills there. Hold on. Korok showing his face here in the jungle, but not going to follow it up. Bambo in very bad shape. He's at 200 hit points. Not the best of shape for TC either. Yep, and there's Korok. That's a dead Bambo. Remember what I said about Bambo, high risk, high reward? That's what Bambo does. That's how Bambo rolls. 3-2. Liquid ekes themselves out a little bit of an advantage here at just about 7 minutes. And at 10, we'll take our first look at the goal graph. Until then, just want to continue to watch this trial lane of Liquid. Now, what I was going to say about Chen, as good as it is for your carry to get kills, I honestly feel like it's much better that Liquid got kills with Fluff just to catch him up. He is hurting. Oh, hang on. Nightmare on Bulba. They're going to hook up and go for it. Mike's there, uses the telekinesis. Storm Hammer going to catch Bulba. Fluff trying to do what he can from a distance. Jo might end up dead, and Bulba's going to be able to make it away. And yes, they will get the kill on Wisp. So they go for it and unable to clean it up. Again, the weakness of Wisp. And great focus firing there. I'll tell you what made that fight really work out the way it did was the patience and the not just patience really isn't the word. The cool-headedness of Liquid and the way they dealt with that. They didn't collapse on this Finn, which would have been a much tougher target to deal with. Instead, Bulba ate as much damage as he could, then he waited and fire flew away when he knew he could make it away safely. Hang on, Magnus is here. They want to try and take another fight. Warcry gives them the pursuit speed they need. Bulba going to go ahead and Firefly. That's enough to make them turn away. They're not going to find any target. That's actually fantastic for Liquid. The fact that they were able to dodge that bullet that's time spent out of mid for Magnus. And look at this, Korok continuing to just farm away. We can see he's second on the board. TC's number 1 with 46. This game going really the way of Liquid so far. The kill score only tells you so much. And again, the fact that Chen got those kills, I think, is a big advantage for Liquid, just because it does make up for the fact that he has not been jungling at the speed that he would if he was in a defensive tri-lane, puts him that much closer to a mechanism, and gets him that much closer to Hand of God. So, TC is beginning to look like a monster. He's nearly doubling up Fear, and I'm sorry for the continued lag, guys. That's not on my end. That's actually server lag whenever you're seeing those animation stutters. So, another fun day of G-1, but hey, you know what? When the play's this good, it's worth whatever issues we happen to have thrown our way. But again, Fear's not in bad shape, but he's not in great shape either. He's right there with Bambo. Queen of Pain in fantastic shape. Korok probably going to start to look to bounce around the map a bit more now. He's already level 8. And what I want to know is what item he's going to pick up. Against the lineup that EG has, I feel like an excellent item on Korok would be just an early rush BKB. Get that up as quickly as you can. Rely on your inherent skill set and your good start in levels to give you the damage you need. Once that BKB comes out, they have almost no way to account for her. Bane can't do much of anything. They can try to Fiend Script her, but really they're going to want to use that on the Gyrocopter as often as they can. And we're going to see, RP going to be spent by Demon. Korok should be able to blink away, and here comes the Cavalry. Demon spent the RP. And I don't know that he saw this, actually. Yeah, that ward belongs to Liquid. So he most likely did not see them poke up. The ward range on this, if he did, it was just barely. Is right about there. They're going to move back up, and J.O.'s going to be in trouble if he's spotted out here. And there's Mike leading the way. Telekinesis, gonna grab him. He's got a Fade Bolt ready to roll right into the Centaur. Beautiful play. Very simple to execute, but it's still awesome to see that work out the way it should. You know, it's like, yeah, obviously you can just telekinesis him into the Centaur, but when you see it done that smoothly, I don't care how simple a concept it is. It's just fun to watch. 5-3. Liquid leads this game right now. And now Korok might be in trouble. Demon is going to go ahead and TP away. In the meantime, Liquid does take down the first tower. That's going to be the Tier 1 top. Fear has rotated himself down the bottom. He's got 1,600 gold in the bank. We'll see what he wants to pick up here. Given how early Liquid's going to want to fight this, I really wouldn't hate an armlet pickup. Drum's very much available too, and we'll see if that's what he's going to pick up now that he has enough gold. What did he buy? What did you buy? He bought... looks like a wand. Nope, he bought an Ogre Club. He's going to go straight for the BKB. That's fine, too. Magic Immunity's grand. The armlet, I feel like, would actually give him a little bit more punch if they're anticipating Liquid fighting very hard in the next 10 minutes or so. Speaking of 10 minutes, we are past the 10-minute mark, and yeah, Gold Graph tells us just how far ahead Liquid is. They're looking great, 5-3 at the kill score, but they took the tower, and the kills they got went on the heroes they really wanted them to. The experience just south of 1,500 to their advantage as well. Bulba, well over halfway through his Blink Dagger now, the essential item for him. Taking a look at Demon, he's got his Arc Boots up. He's got a ways to go on that Blink, though, but Magnus can farm pretty quickly when left to his own devices, so it's going to be a question of how well EG can weather the storm, and here's going to be a test. There's the hookup from J.O. Call down is not going to connect. And now the TP reaction is there. TC's got to be careful. Homing a missile connects, but here comes Demon. Demon has an RP, and he's going to spend it. Gets on the other side of TC, and they get a very high-value kill there. Could not have asked for that to have gone better. Good movement out of Demon. And they may decide to push off of this. And really, really nice movement. TC got a little too big for his britches there. And yeah, we're going to see Bambo go ahead and zone out Mike. They're not going to chase him down. They're just going to look to take a tower of their own. In the meantime, Fluff has gone to work here in the jungle. He's going to have his mech up in just a minute or two. And again, that's just such an essential item for any team that's built around a Chen. You want to start using Chen to his full potential as early as you can. Mech in conjunction with Hand of God. And yeah, they're going to come out at just about the exact same time. We can see he's just south of level 6 now. And that's going to be when they look to fight. And one of the key elements of this game is going to be how well Liquid can bait Demon out. Talked a bit about it briefly, about how Demon and Bambo both are very high-risk, high-reward players. They tend to take a lot of chances, but they're what I would call prototypical playmakers, and I discussed that on a previous stream. You know, just the verbiage that all professional casters use. We don't always have agreed-upon definitions, but when I use the word playmaker, it is basically in reference to a player like a Demon or a Bambo, who are always looking to take risks, but have the individual mechanical skill and the quick reaction time that usually make them work out for them. So you can abuse that if you're Liquid. You just have to be real careful about how you do it. Now, this is real chancy for them. They're very grouped up, but they do know that Mag did spend his RP just a bit ago. About 25 seconds till it's available again. And yeah, without RP at this stage, EG is going to struggle to engage. Sven, just trying to get up some core items. He's going to have his Mithril Hammer at about 400 gold on his way to a BKB. BKB is of course, awesome on any strength hero. It's especially awesome on Sven, just because survivability is a problem for him in terms of his carry potential. Yep, we're going to see the blink showed off. They're going to grab J.O. He's going to be blown up immediately, and they may just back. And yep, here comes Fear. Bambo's there, but not going to take the chance on trying to re-engage. They're going to have RP available right about now if Demon shows up. And yeah, we can see Demon making his way over. Has the RP available, still doesn't have his blink, and Liquid wisely pulls back here. So they've taken down 2 tier 1s, and they still have every tower remaining. I just now realized that EG actually never cleaned that up. So 6-4, 14 minutes into the game, and everything going Liquid's way so far. They're just south of 5,000 gold in the lead. The experience, though, has begun to turn itself around and go the way of EG. That, of course, is owed in large part to Liquid beginning to move as a group, but this was anticipated. When you saw the draft, I talked about it during the draft phase, that when you see, heroes like a Queen of Pain, when you see heroes like a Chin in particular, like a Bad Rider, those aren't heroes that you pick and then look to win at 40. You want to get as much advantage as you can in that mid-game phase between 15 and 30 minutes. That's really your sweet spot. And it looks like Korok's actually going right up for a Scythe of Ice. An excellent pickup, really, when you think about it. The survivability, I guess, is not something he's just that worried about. And understandably so. A lot of the important abilities that EG has at their disposal in terms of single target disables or even mass disables, say Fiend's Grip, Stormhammer, the reverse polarity out of Magnus, he's not going to be the highest priority for the most part. It's almost always going to be the gyrocopter they want to catch. So assuming that survivability is something that he can deal with just by virtue of the hero's skill set, opting to go Scythe of Ice gives them a way to take the only real dedicated source of damage that stands by himself out of the mix for EG. Taking out Sven, if they can, and the BKB on the way. Going to help a bit with that, but, it is not the be-all, end-all. Fear is just about level 11, so he'll have a level 2 God Strength at his disposal soon. Fluff did complete that mech just about on time. And it looks like they're trying to force an engagement here at mid, trying to clear these towers out. Now again, Demon does have his RP, but no Blink Dagger yet. Demon probably is actually going to be the #1 target priority for a while, until Sven really begins to look scary. And yes, I mean, God Strength is terrifying in and of its own right. Yeah, look at Bulba. Already getting into position. Oh, if they can get Demon, there it is. Gonna Lasho and back, blown up immediately. Now, there's almost no way they can counter-initiate. That, basically, every time they do that to Demon until Sven farms himself up a bunch of items, every time they can do that to Demon, it's gonna cost them a tower. Every single time. If that happens on their side of the river, on EG's side of the river, that's gonna be at least 1 tower every time Bulba's able to do that. And yeah, we can see, and this is just the strength. They haven't even used Hand of God yet. And they can honestly just about rotate down and take Roche if they really want to. That might be a little chancy with Demon just about ready to get back up. The time to do it would have been after they took the tier 1, but guess just not feeling super comfortable in that regard. TC did go the Shadow Blade build. He went Aqualane instead of drums. And yeah, now they're going to react up to the top lane, and there's TC. He exposes himself. Stormhammer's spent, but relocate. Going to get him back to safety. Well, when I say get them back to safety, I mean get Fear back to safety. J.O. is a dead man walking. We will see you back at the points from whence you came. Telekinesis, and see ya. But if you're going to lose one, better lose the Wisp than the Sven. That Blink Dagger almost done on Demon now. And that's really where Magnus as a hero and Demon as a player are going to begin to feel like they should. Fluff. Just about, he's about halfway to level 8, so he's making a little bit of progress as well. Korok, not far away from his Mystic Staff. Scythe of Ice is actually a gigantic pickup. If they and the fact that Korok is going to have it as soon as he's going to is actually kind of nuts. He's on pace to have that item before 25 minutes easily, and that's even if he doesn't have farm priority, which he is getting a lot of right now. In the meantime, EG, sick of being pushed around, going to try to get something done at this tier 1 bottom. Doesn't look like Liquid has much of an interest in contesting it. BKB is now done on Fear, and they take down another tier 1, and Liquid very slowly making their way down. BKB going to be the next item choice for TC. Very typical stuff. I like the Shadow Blade pickup just because of how good their team is at this stage of the game. Shadow Blade just makes it that much better. And honestly, if I'm in Liquid shoes, I think I'm kind of happy to just go ahead and farm up this Scythe of Ice before I try to make much of anything else happen. But, you know what? If Bambo's just going to play chest out, way in no man's land, don't guess there's any reason not to hang around and look to force a fight. And here's Bulba. And there, manages to find Demon, trying to get him pulled back away. There's a Fiend's Grip, though. Call down. Might be able to catch everyone. Bambo's right in the middle of it, has his Fierce Sonic Wave. Going to catch 2. Bambo about to drop. There's the vacuum to try and lock down Korok. And the RP going to be spent. It catches Korok. TC still up and standing. There's Hand of God to get him back up and finding a Korok. Somehow is still alive. He's bottling himself up in Fear. Now locked down. Gonna be eating a lot of damage. The shockwave stolen by Rubik, turning around against its owners. And TC, again, this is what I was talking about when I talked about why Queen of Pain skipped her BKB. That RP cannot be used on a single target unless it's used on this guy right here, and we just saw why. TC playing immaculate Dota, staying out of the fire for the most part. But yeah, that is that exact concept in practice. They spin it trying to get the Queen of Pain, and they got her. But her innate skill set combined with Chen using Hand of God and so forth, she's gonna be able to get herself out of some jams. Even if she didn't, though, she had already shot her wad. She had already used Sonic Wave. She had already used Scream of Pain twice, if I'm not mistaken, by that point, getting a kill on Bambo, who, to be honest, he was pursuing with no health, playing a little bit of Death Wish Dota. But if you don't take out TC, if you spend all of your high priority abilities and you don't bring TC down, he is just going to kill you by virtue of how the hero functions. Maxed out Rocket Barrage, 690 magic damage every single time, and the cooldown on it is absurdly low. He's going to be able to spam that 4 or 5 times a fight if the fight drags on like that. Flat Cannon, not quite in the same boat, but hey, that's a lot of damage done to your supports. And now we can see Liquid smoking up. The warning out of EG has actually been quite solid. I haven't talked a whole lot about that, but they have a lot of vision over territory they highly prioritize, namely the Radiant side jungle right now. And that's essential if they're going to get anything out of JO. And this is one of the reasons why Asian teams don't tend to pick Wisp or value Wisp that highly anymore. This is how you beat it. You pick a team that at 20 minutes can go, you know what, we've got some items, let's just go fight. And we don't care if you relocate, because we have things to bail us out. We have Chen with Hand of God and Mech, and you can do some damage, sure, but we're going to be able to heal through it. And unless your whole team comes with you, you can't fight us because we're never in packs smaller than 4. And Liquid is just playing this out very methodically. Bulba has played excellent. And again, Bulba Bat was not something very common. Then I saw it like 3 or 4 times in 2 days in the D2L playoffs. And since then, every time I see him, he gets better and better. But yeah, I mean, it's so long as they could take Magnus out of the mix, they're going to be able, or at least even if they don't kill him, if they do what they did in that last fight, which was put Demon in a situation where he's not dictating the terms of the engagement. Put him in a situation where he has to react to them and take a target that he might not want to take. Oh, wow. This is huge right here. This hurts EG so badly. I just noticed this was happening. The fact that they're losing this Ancient stack, one of the strengths of Sven is how quickly he can begin taking down Ancient stacks. And them losing that is horrendous. Bambo's going to be telekinesis. There's the old Sonic Wave. Going to be spent. Demon's going to be lasso, but Bambo's still up and fighting for the moment. Here comes Fear. Now there's a nice RP. That's what they're going to have to bank on. That's what they have to do if they want to win fights at this stage of the game. And Fear chopping wood in the woods following Demon's RP. Caught a whole team. And Fear went to work. Mask of Madness was his next item pickup after the BKB. And we just saw God's strength and the strength of this hero in general show itself off there. That's not what Liquid can allow to happen. You know, I talked a lot over the last minute or two about what Liquid's been doing right that has given them the advantages they've had and why the fights have gone their way. We just got a first-hand look at what they can't do. They can't play too aggressive. They can't choose the target and then have it counter-initiated by Melk. That was a beautiful play by Melk on Bambo, by the way, keeping him alive. And that's one of the strengths that you get in a Bane pickup. And that's to say nothing, by the way. I haven't talked a whole lot about it, but the strength of Enfeeble on Gyrocopter as well. And we can see 3 points into Enfeeble, just 1 into the Nightmare. Getting the Enfeeble off on a Gyro, especially when he hasn't even had a BKB. He does now. But if you can Enfeeble before the BKB is procced, the Magic community doesn't remove the Enfeeble effect. If he's BKB'd, you can't Enfeeble a BKB target. But if you Enfeeble him before he turns it on, he cannot be purged. Or at least, I want to say a Diffusal might be able to. I actually don't know that for sure. But that's irrelevant, because we're not going to see a Diffusal blade in this game anyway. Back to Korok. He now has his Scythe of Ice. Now, what his job is going to be predominantly is going to be to hang back, wait for Bulba to start these fights, and wait to try to get the Sven if he can. That has to be his #1 priority. He can also do it to Magnus if they really feel like that's the number one factor, the number one problem that they're going to face. Once again, they're rattling their saber at this Tier 2 bottom. We're 23 minutes in. And waiting to see how committed to this Liquid's going to be. Bulba in position over in the woods like he was before. He's looking for a Magnus pick. Demon does have RP ready to go. He's on the way to a BKB of his own. Ogre Club's in the inventory. And waiting so far.
Radiant's top tower
Demon
is
under
under
cover
attack.
of smoke is going to have it expire on him. And Liquid does have a ward here. And just that's so smart, by the way. Just knowing, suspecting that there's going to be warding over in that part of the secret shop. Just because Liquid had spent so much time camped out there earlier and making sure he's not spotted out. Slow pushing this as best as they possibly can. And so far, everything going their way. Really like that the Harpy Stormcrafter is the creep of choice here, by the way. Don't know that I've seen that too often. And here we go. They're going to go for it. There's a relocate going to land right on top of him. RP going to be canceled out, actually. They're going to clean up Mike for free. TC with his BKB up. RP going to be spent. And there's 3 sucked right in by Bamboo. They get the tower. But that's a triple kill going the way of Fear. And TC can do nothing but run away at this point. Bambo in the right place at the right time to follow up the relocate initiation. Demon with a gorgeous cancel of the reverse polarity. Saving it for a rainy day. Turned out it started pouring. Just a few seconds later, dropped the hammer and got 3 with it. 12-13. And they actually didn't get this tower. I thought for sure it dropped. Could have swore I saw that thing drop. Still standing. Most likely will be denied now. But for the moment, EG's number one priority seems to be taking themselves another tower. Maybe setting up a chance at Roche. Queen of Pain's going to be back up in 12 seconds.
Radiant's bottom tower
But
is under
what
attack.
Liquid's been doing, slow pushing, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But that actually plays pretty heavily in EG's favor. It's going to allow scenarios where EO relocates Fear into the back of the fight, and then Magnus can just clean up the front. That's basically what we saw. Bambo and Demon both played excellent in that last engagement. 12-13, we're 26 minutes in. And yeah, that gold lead all of a sudden not so substantial. Just about at the 0 line. The experience is actually well in favor of EG right now. And keep in mind, the last time these two teams met was just 3 days ago in the We Play group stage. And EG got by Liquid then. And right now, to be honest, you know, Liquid they played very, very well early on. But they have been leaving the door open fairly well for EG to execute the play style that's dictated by their lineup. Looks like Force Staff going to be the next item up on Bulba. Korok, no idea what he's going to be grabbing next. TC has already got himself up a Demon Edge. Would imagine he'll be looking to pick up an MKB. Because they are going to have the ability to start pushing tier 3s much sooner, at least one would think, than EG. What's really chancy for EG, though, is just because of how all-in their lineup happens to be on that Sven. There are other sources of damage that can come out of Liquid. I mean, Gyro is going to be the majority of it, especially as the game goes later. But Queen of Pain, you know, does damage too. Bat Rider makes it hard to fight in a contained area because of Firefly and so on. EG has some spam. They have, you know, Brain Sap. They're going to have Shockwave. They're going to have, you know, Stormhammer, Ion Shell. But when Sven drops, basically, EG can't fight anymore. Unless they've already, you know, unless they're already up, like, you know, have already killed 2 or 3 heroes by the time Sven drops, if and when he dies, EG just has to fall back immediately. Which means that so long as Liquid continues doing what they're doing and forcing EG to play on their side of the map and taking fights to them, they actually have a little bit more wiggle room to lose some of these fights. Because the one time that they do manage to pick Fear off, or the one time EG doesn't execute perfectly, they're going to be able to take probably a set of racks off of it. And that's the conundrum for Sven right now. He needs items, but he definitely needs to bank for buyback as well. Speaking of items, he's already added a Daedalus to his inventory. Switch to the net worth. We can see he's right up at the top. A little bit ahead of the Gyrocopter, but again, he's had number 1 farm priority the entire game. Now, something worth mentioning as well is BKB basically makes Magnus's Empower useless in these fights, and he really has to have it activated almost every time. But as the BKB charges get less and less in duration, we'll start to see Empower probably play a bigger role. Demon, about 700 gold away from his BKB, very important item for him. Fear, in the meantime, 1,200 gold in the bank, does not have buyback. Very close to it. He will have it soon. But again, that's something he's going to have to manage very carefully as the game goes on. He just cannot afford to be picked off and not have buyback. It's, you know, at this stage, it's going to cost them so much if that happens. Bane's actually got a trust fund. He's sitting on 1,900 gold right now. We'll see what he wants to grab. Against this team, I actually think Necrobook would be pretty all right. If he wants to go in that direction, could just go something much more typical. Magic damage a problem. If anyone wants to get a pipe, in fact, it looks like Bambo's heading that direction now. He's had his own mech up for a while. 2,500 gold in the Bank of TC. Bank of TC, your local home for financial transactions. But, oh, there we go. I was wondering what they were going to do, if they were going to just continue to play passively and farm. Looks like they do want to smoke. And they're going to go ahead and take the old end around. We're going to see TC clean this up. He's got a Shadow Blade of his own, so he can lead the charge here if he wants. Looks like they're just going to continue to pretend as if he's farming. And here comes a counter smoke of EG. Now, this could be bad for either team, depending on who sees who and how they see each other. Fear's going to have to react very quickly. Fear's going to have to get here in a hurry. And there's EG showing their faces. Korok spotted out. Bambo vacuums him back. And here they come. And there's Mike left out in the lurch. We're going to see Bulba tossed in the air. In the meantime, we're going to see Magnus cleaned up immediately. And Fear going toe-to-toe with TC, but the damage too high. Lasso's there, though. Hand of God going to be used to get the teams back up and fighting. Bane going toe-to-toe with Korok. In the meantime, Bambo being pursued out. Sven didn't even see where he wound up. Looks like he just stayed tethered in the relocate. Took him to the other side of the jungle, other side of the map even. So he ended up going 1 for 1. And Bane's actually picked himself up a Blink Dagger. And again, given how tenuous their team fight situation is, and we saw it right there. I talked a lot in the earlier phases about the importance of that Magnus and how they had to have him to initiate and to make these fights happen for them. And then, of course, Sven, I harped a bit about him, about how if he fights or he's taken out of a fight, there's nothing EG can do but back, and we just saw that. I mean, Magnus dropped and Sven engaged, which is fine. But at that point, they could not feel comfortable fighting at all. And Korok's going to find himself a DD. He actually picked up a Ghost Scepter. So, you know, that's an interesting pickup to me. I feel like when I look at Liquid's team, what they want to do, and you know, granted, Sven is the big problem. He's going to have BKB, so magic immunity is going to be a mitigating factor to believe with. Okay, never mind. I was going to say when I look at it, I can't help but maybe feel like something like a Scepter might be good just to elongate Korok's, or extend is probably the more appropriate word to use. Extend his relevance in this game, as we are getting later now. We're at 31 minutes, just about 32. At least in terms of damage and his ability to blow heroes up, particularly the Magnus and the Sven. But knowing that magic immunity is going to be there, knowing he's probably going to be coming into a hot LZ with BKB pre-popped anyway, I can understand that. You're going to get your magic damage off anyway. Just try to get through his onslaught. Try to survive through him engaging onto you after he hits you with Stormhammer, or before he hits you with Stormhammer, something like that. And Roshan now beginning to take on increased importance here. First Roche fight, honestly, might be one that decides the game. And I hate to put it that way. But if either team takes a solid Roche fight, gets the Aegis, and just begins to push immediately off of that, it's going to be very difficult for the other team to weather the storm. The gold, still in favor of Liquid, has not crossed the Meridian line since basically the word go. The experience is even being cut down and moving in their direction as well. So Liquid is doing a good job so far. Back to Fear. He's got 1,600 gold in the bank. He's picked up an Ultimate Orb, and I'm curious what he's going to do with that thing. Could end up going something like a Lincoln Sphere, which would be fascinating. But we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, both teams playing very cautiously so far. Bulba with his Force Staff up, still on Tier 1 boots, no problem there. Fluff has picked up a Ghost Scepter of his own, and we can see them beginning to try to account for the fact that, and again, it comes back to what I was talking about. EG has some damage they can rely on in Shockwave, Ion Shell, so on, but that's not what's going to win them this game. It's going to be on the back of Sven entirely. So picking up these Ghost Scepters is just a way to take that element out of the fight, at least for a few seconds, to give them a slight advantage over the lone advantage that EG has right now. He will have buyback if he fights right now. We can see a War of the Worlds, the Wildkin War Chiefs, doing their dance. Looks like they're mating, doesn't it? Look at that. They're going to make a little baby wildkin. That is exactly what that looks like. But anyway, back to Dota. Get your mind out of the gutter, AC. They like a doggy style. Oh, I just said that. I'm awful. I'm terrible. EG is going to go ahead and poke their nose into the Roche pit now, though. And Fear, I mean, this is something Liquid's got to account for sooner rather than later. They let Fear sit here for another 10 seconds. He's going to get a free Aegis. They better decide right now. Yep, that's a free Aegis. This is just a drop ball. They just flat dropped the ball here. That's a mistake. And yes, I know it's tough for them to engage in that situation. But you can't just give Fear an Aegis at this stage of the game. EG trailed quite a bit early, and again, they still have yet to ever have a gold lead in this game. Do have a kill lead. The experience is in their favor, but it's quite negligible now that we're approaching 40 minutes. But MKB was the pickup on TC. Thought that was going to be the direction he goes. I mean, right now, Liquid's biggest hope is going to be getting up lifesteal, trying to farm up. Hang on. There's the Fiend's Grip on TC. There's the wall down as well. RP spent. That's an unmitigated disaster. EG going to clean him up easily. Now we're going to have the lasso on Fear. Doesn't matter. You don't have damage. You lost Queen of Pain and Gyro. Just does not matter. Ghost Scepter's going to be used, but with Nightmare locking him down. Great game so far out of Liquid, but in the last 2 minutes, the last 2 or 3 minutes, 2 gigantic blunders. Being caught without vision in mid and losing their 2 primary damage dealers after giving up a free Aegis to Sven. And yeah, he did get a Lincoln Sphere. I thought that was going to be the item choice. That is so smart. That is so smart. Makes it so much harder for Liquid to try and lasso him now. Makes it so much harder for them to telekinesis him. And they're going to go ahead and start chopping wood here on the tier 2. And this is just really good play out of EG. Hang on. Demon YOLO's it. Now he's going to be telekinesis back. Shockwave stolen as well, and he's going to go ahead and Nightmare. And yeah, they just went on into the base. And Mike going to be cleaned up. Mech popped. They haven't even brought down the tier 2 yet. That's not going to be the case for long. Down it goes. And they're just going to push racks here. There's really no reason for them not to. God's Strength back off cooldown. And just look at this. Boom, boom. There it was. Lincoln Sphere can't do anything to him. Does not care about cooldown. There's the lasso. But where's the damage? Okay, TC now up and ready to fight. He's going to be Scythe Device. Now Korok able to clean him up. And EG actually didn't engage off of that. I'm a little surprised. Looks like a bit of miscommunication, to be honest. That's one of those situations in Fear. Yeah, YOLO. Dies in the enemy well. Gonna die behind enemy lines. You may as well die as far behind enemy lines as you can. A demon cleaned up. Okay, so Liquid, with 2 gigantic blunders, looked like they had just sealed their own fate. EG, with what I can only imagine was a major miscommunication, did nothing to follow up Fear, face tanking the tower, and being engaged upon off of the freshly respawned Liquid. And now, after all 5 are dead, Liquid's on the warpath. Sven's down for 40 seconds. He does have buyback, though. Buyback on Darkseer and on the Sven, very important. So now Liquid has to choose their fate. Do they take the chance on repeating the same mistake? Yep, TC just going to rush uphill. He's got an MKB, so he can actually siege it just fine from any point. His damage output is quite high. So for the supports to get anywhere near here is actually chancing. And there's the Enfeeble, but they're going to be able to catch Melt. Melt going to be dragged out with a lasso. He's down. Oh, no, the Nightmare. He is denied, actually, by his own Nightmare damage. But managing to pick him off, quite a big deal. Now, as soon as that Enfeeble wears off, Liquid can look to take another fight. They did have to spin the lasso to do it. But TC is getting dangerously close to a Satanic. Satanic is one of those items where when Gyro begins to feel outclassed, he gets a Satanic. He goes, actually, I just heal 1,000,000 damage a second now. And with the BKB, you actually have a fine opportunity to just go Rapier. He's got just about enough for his Reaver now. Then he'll need 1,100 gold for the recipe. After that, all roads lead to Rapier, baby. And here we go. They're going to go ahead and engage on here. The TP coming in. Mike cut in half completely by Sven. And now, TC under cover of Shadowblade doesn't have a TP. They're not going to be moving in his direction, though. And, yep, Fear going to be teleported back over to the Ancients. That's fine. Just go back to farming. Don't worry about it, bro. It's fine. Bambo now going to be Scythe advised by Korok. This should be a free return kill for them. Uses the mech. Homing missile. Not even needed. So he's cleaned up. Back to our Chen. Yeah, hasn't had a chance to add a whole lot more to his inventory. That Darkseer is going to be down for quite some time. He does have buyback if they wanted. Don't know that they'll use it to defend the tier 2. They may just rely on the strength of Fear plus Demon, and yep, they're smoked. And, wow, the blink back. Bulba able to get himself away in time. And Milk going to go for it. Throws the Nightmare onto the Chen. TC, hang on, just heard a, yep, they managed to get the Magnus. There's a follow-up Stormhammer, though. Bulba taking a fight, he can't win. Will be cleaned up. Here's the call down. It's going to catch no one but Bane. Milk will be cleaned up. Demon still hasn't spin RP. Doesn't even look like he's going to need it. He can go for it now if he wants. Nope, going to opt not to. And just the power of this, and this is, you know, if there's one mistake that Bulba is prone to making, it is doing what he just did. Initiating because he feels like the situation allows him an advantage. But like right there was no one around to do anything to that Magnus, and he just died. And you will see him do that from time to time. And the D2L Winners Bracket Finals, actually, he had a very bad mistake along those lines with Clockwork. And not running Bulba into the ground. Love Bulba. He's one of the better players you're ever going to see, especially on heroes like Clockwork. But it is just one of those traits of the player. One of those things that you have to talk about. It looks like Jo actually just... Oh, no, never mind. He destroyed a tower. I was going to say... Looked like he had dropped, but no. Just destroyed the tower. But yeah, I mean, that's just something Bulba's prone to do once in a while. He's not quite as high risk, high reward as a Demon or a Bambo is. But he does have that same playstyle. He is a player I would label a playmaker, for sure. Korok with a Force Staff of his own. Got a Ghost Scepter, got a Scythe of Bias. Has a lot of ways to survive. He's got 4,200 gold in the bank. The question is, what is he going to get now? And opting to not go the BKB. Again, I had talked about that. He could just basically go one-shot buy one right now if he wants. But I don't think with all the items he's picked up, it's necessary. He may just want to go one-shot buy a Scepter, which he can do right now. And Fear going to ask for a quick pause. Looks like we will have an opportunity to thank you guys for being here, for being a part of the broadcast. Hope you're enjoying the show as much as I'm enjoying broadcasting it for you. A lot of fun here today in our bounce-back match of the G1 Western Qualifier. And happy to see Liquid and EG back in action both. Again, I've gotten to cast a lot of Liquid over the last few weeks, but not quite as much EG over the last month. But EG, again, a team that's been struggling a bit. They have quietly done okay in April. They are quietly getting their legs back underneath them. And we're at 41 minutes in right now. I mean, yeah, you look at the goal graph, the experience graph. This is a tight one. This is an absolute barn burner. No doubt about it whatsoever. 41 kills on the board. Split just about as evenly as they possibly can be. Run ad. Oh, okay. Thanks, Pikachu. I'm going to run an ad at you guys. That's exactly what I'm going to do. But what this does give me a chance to do is thank each and every one of you for being here, and go ahead and send you G1.2P's way. If you're wanting all of your coverage, you want some great interviews, great write-ups, great articles, all the information about schedules, brackets, you name it, not to mention your caster hub, not to mention the ability to interact with us live in real time on Twitter via the lead sponsor of the G1 League. You find all of that at G1.2P.com. Now, for those who are wondering, this is a question that's come up a couple of times. One, this will be our only best of 3 today. Fnatic versus Kaipi, we're still working on getting that match scheduled. And to the best of my knowledge, I could be wrong, and if I am, I apologize, and we'll certainly get the right information out as quickly as I can. To the best of my knowledge, we're still lining out the rest of this week's schedule. So I'm not really sure when our next match will be. We're going to try to bring you matches tomorrow. And once we get things going, it's going to be one of those situations where hurry up and wait. You know what I mean? We've got to get everything lined up, but once we do, it'll probably be like 2 best of 3s a day for like 7 days or something like that. So it's going to be very dense and condensed in terms of content. But until that point, I just don't have a whole lot to report to you. But I will be tweeting it, and you can follow me on Twitter to get updates about the G1 League, the D2L, and everything else going on with me in particular. Twitter.com/AC. At AC, at AYESEE is probably the best way to put that across. Now, Darkseer's picked himself up a Scythe of Vice as well. Another very important item, especially given the Queen, as of yet, is yet to make an item purchase. Is she? Yeah, she's going to get a Scepter. And this is kind of what I anticipated. It just extends his relevance in terms of damage output. Allows him to take fights a lot more quickly as well. But it's all about this guy right here. Fear is gigantic, but the Gyro's not far behind. That's the thing to keep in mind. And as good as Fear is with his cleave damage with God Strength, don't forget the Gyro literally can build a Rapier and feel okay about it. He has a Reaver up now. Or not a Reaver, excuse me, a Satanic. He picked his Reaver up and has already picked up his recipe as well. So he's going to be able to, at least for a little while, tank through the absolute onslaught that is a Sven that is this unbelievably farmed. Speaking of, oh my god, double damage plus in power. That's a lot of damage. And he didn't even have God Strength pop. He could have one-shotted every bit of liquid if he had caught them with that much going on and then pop God Strength. But it's, again, all about Magnus, all about Sven. TC has to be positioned correctly. Has to be positioned correctly. The problem for EG is going to be that the strength of Flag Cannon is going to make it very hard for these fights to last a long time. They have to have those big RPs that lead to one swipe of a sword cleaning house and an entire team being turned into Cherry Cobbler and spread across the map. That's what needs to happen for EG. The longer these fights go on, the harder it's going to be for Bambo. Harder it's going to be for Milk to be relevant in the fight. Another major factor is going to be this ability right here, Enfeeble. Enfeeble cannot be purged by magic immunity. If he can get the jump on TC, even if he can't Fiend's Grip him, if he can get the Enfeeble off on TC just as the fight's beginning, there's nothing TC can do about that. If TC's able to BKB before the Enfeeble, though, he cannot cast it on a magic immune target.
Dire's middle tower is under
Roshan?
attack.
Actually, yeah, I'm not seeing the Roche countdown timer. That's odd. Should be soon, I would imagine. But so much has to go right for both of these teams. To really, I mean, well, let me rephrase that. There are a lot of very key things that need to happen for both teams. But at this stage of the game, the team that has the most wiggle room is going to be EG. Just because even if you only get a two-man RP, just so long as Fear is in front of those two men, he's going to swing his sword once and everyone's going to explode. So they have some wiggle room. They have reliable damage. Yep, there's Roche. Just respawned. Just respawned. Now this honestly makes me feel very nervous for Liquid. This stretch of real estate here, because of how confined and how narrow it is, how good of a vantage they have to initiate from like right here, that is nerve-wracking to me to just watch. I can't imagine being Liquid right now. And I don't know why they're trying to bait a fight here. I really don't. And yeah, they're just going to back out. That's much, much, much safer, to say the least. EG, looking to be in good shape. They have the tools. They have the damage. The net worth still very close at the top. 25,000 up. Hang on, there's Bambo. Just surged himself, looking for, oh, Korok. Korok! Is going to be able to make it away. I mean, just the sheer amount of utter devastation that Sven can do with one swing of that sword right now makes this one of the more tits moments I've casted in Dota in a while. And there's the Scythe of Ice. Here we go. Fiend's Grip going to be on Korok. There's the vacuum and the reverse polarity. They're able to clean him up without even really needing Fear. That actually just didn't even matter. They cleaned that up so easily. And Bulba didn't even get Lasso off. Just TP's home. Oh, man. Beautiful vacuum into the wall. The RP was there, and again, it didn't matter that he only got two. Fear just got on and stuck on Gyrocopter, and TC could do nothing. Just could do nothing. He just exploded like R-I-P-T-C. Right about here, I think, actually. He just, 3 swipes, even as big as he is. As much armor as he has. He's got 20 armor. It just doesn't matter. And now Fear having the Abyssal Blade to go with his full satchel of goods. He's huge. He's utterly huge. The biggest hope that Liquid has now is going to be to farm a Rapier up. And I don't know if they're going to have time. Still, 30 seconds down on TC. He has buyback. Korok does not. Korok was in no man's land there. That's really what got them in trouble. And everything just fell apart from there. I mean, yeah, Fear, even without God Strength, is hitting for 400 damage. 460, 70 damage. Good. If he decides to pop God Strength, I mean, he's going to be able to one-shot the well. And down goes the Rax. And they just wisely pull back. Good patience out of EG. Looks like they want to go ahead and clear the last tier 2 off.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Never mind. Creeps beat him to it. And Korok now back up. He actually went Scotty. I just now noticed that. Korok is, yeah. Two very big mistakes. You know, and again, I'm not laying it totally on Korok, but that's twice. And they're going to go ahead and lasso Fear. It doesn't matter. And yeah, relocate. Brings him there. There's the RP that's spent. Whiffs on it, but damage is done. And Fear able to get himself another kill. He's just so tanky right now. He's got so much gold. And they're actually going to fall back here. That's a little surprising, just fearing the gyrocopter that much. Gyro actually, did he just kill Bane with flat cannon? I think he did. I think he flat cannoned a creep and killed Bane. And Fear gonna eat the homing missile. Bambo's there if he needs to drop a wall. And there, Scythe of Ice is used. Here comes Fear. He's ready to fight. Walls down. What a vacuum, Bambo. And they're cleaned up. Chendo, the hero of that fight, because TC sent home via Chen Airways. So at least he manages to survive. Fluff doing what he can, but eyes a little bigger than his stomach there for TC. This game looking like it's winding its way down. Fear, again, just enormous. Just truly freaking enormous. Yep, and now look at the damage. He's hitting for 800 damage. They better kill him quick because he's going to one-shot everyone. There's a good Fiend's Grip, and they do manage to pick him off. Liquid stays alive. Demon going to be hexed out. And I thought I heard Wisp coming in. In the meantime, Bambo forced off. The homing missile still on his tail. Liquid extending this game. And yeah, that was so ballsy, but then again, I hadn't noticed that IX Mike had stolen Fiend's Grip. And Bambo's still alive somehow. He's going to lose a gem when he dies here, and he should end up being dead. Yep, there's the flame break from downtown. Gem on the ground. Give it to Bulba. Or to Mike. Never mind, Mike has one. They're just going to leave it lay, actually. Hey, guys. You're not going to destroy it or nothing? You're not going to... Oh, the courier's on the way. There we go. Cluckles has got it. Cluckles got it on lockdown. But yeah, that's ballsy, man. Sven hitting for 800 damage a shot. And they go lasso him and drag him back into the heart of their team. But IX Mike on point, managing to steal the Fiend's Grip previously. Hadn't even noticed he'd picked it up. Able to lock things down. Now, TC's going to be going, it would seem, for a butterfly. He's got the Talisman of Evasion. Guess he could go something, you know, like a halberd if he wants to. I'm still a little surprised that Korok picked up the Scotty, but it does make sense. It's one more way to try and kite out the Sven. The slow on the Scotty. Going to give them the ability to try and slow him down if they can. But it's beginning to look more and more like the best method for them to try and get a win here is going to be just to take chances, smoke into the jungle, and look to get a pick. And, yeah, I think I am now the coach for Liquid. I am now their official team coach. Nah, I'm kidding. That's very obvious. I'm not that smart. But at this point, every time that they've tried to just slow push, take a fight, what have you, all Sven has to do is swing his sword twice. He can even hit creeps at this point. He can just swing on creeps and kill the entire team. So instead of trying to do things that way, this is the much better solution. Whenever you want to play offensively, do it this way. Whenever you're not, fall back, farm, and defend. They're not going to find anyone close by now, and EG knowing something's up. Fear and Jo just kicking it near the tier 3. Demon and Milk way out there with Bambo, and Liquid unable to find anything or anyone right now. And somebody going to be sent home. Yep, that's going to be TC. Cluckles dropped the gem off. And there's the flame break. He's going to go ahead and search himself out. And Jo and Fear can join this fight at any time if they want to. Homing missile on its way. Gonna get some vision. They know what's up. But again, you see those three heroes, you can't just go, okay, let's go fight. Because you know these two are gonna be there in a jiffy. 5,200 gold in the Bank of Fear. And he is, again, enormous isn't even the word. Needs to just sell his treads, get boots of travel, and be done with it. And then just stay for a rapier or something, I don't know. Sell off his Mask of Madness and one-shot buy an Assault Cure ass. 52 minutes in. A barn burner that, for the moment at least, seems to be in EG's favor. The gold, definitely in EG's favor, but really at this stage of the game, when you start getting close to that hour mark, 5,000 gold, 7,500 gold, that's not much at all. The experience is the same thing. So yes, EG does have a lead, but it's mostly a positioning lead. It's mostly the fact they, well, obviously they have a racks down. They have taken down a set of the enemy's racks. But thus far, since Sven got his items up, Liquid just hasn't had a reliable answer unless things are just perfect. Unless they just have a fantastic concatenation. You know, that's a word that I've read 1,000 times. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I used to pronounce it concatenation, but that's just stupid. I'm pretty sure that's not right. Concatenation or concatenation, one of the two. They're going to have stuff go right, like they did when Rubik was able to steal Fiend's Grip, and they turned it on Fear. That's the kind of things they need to help. Hang on, they don't need this. TC gonna be Scythe enfeebled, and there's Bane. Now Fiend's Grip might be able to steal it. Fear's right there just going to work on the racks. So they TP in. Let's see if they're gonna send him back home. Lincoln Sphere busted, and there we go. Lasso gonna bring Fear back. Cooldown's gonna be there, but nope. Relocate, gets him back to safety. Jo, loyal as ever. Staying right on his buddy, and EO actually has picked up a halberd of his own. So EO not only tanking up with that, now has the ability to take TC out of the fight, at least in terms of damage. There's a Lincoln Sphere pop. He's going to be forced that back up to Jo. And RP gonna catch three. Darkseer's there. Down goes the wall. Vacuum's going to follow it up. Hand of God gets him back into fighting shape, but here comes Fear. Looking to chop some wood. Korok gonna be locked down. The net immobilizes Fear temporarily, and actually we'll see Korok get away. Bambo's going to end up dying here. And Milk now forced to run along with the rest of his team. Fear forced off of the fight, as is the Mag. And they're going to be able to clean Bane up, so Milk sent back to the well the hard way. Hold on hope, Liquid. They are slugging it out as best as they possibly can. Butterfly should be done now on TC. But that right there is basically the mix they had to have. Demon hit a good RP, but there just wasn't a quick enough follow-up out of this guy right here. And yeah, I think he's going to get a Satanic of his own. He should just be able to run back to the base and buy the whole thing. Buyback, none for Gyro as of right now. That's going to change, though. He's not far from it, so he'll farm a couple of creeps and have that no problem. And that's really the name of the game for everyone right now. Make sure you have buyback. Roche is going to be back up right about 90 seconds from now. Bulba, I mean, everyone right now just walking around with heavy purses, knowing how important that is. Gyro does take down the tier 3 in mid. He's got to be careful here. And there's Demon, ready to skewer him back. Stormhammer's there. And wow. Fiend's Grip to follow it up. Oh, he will be cleaned up, and now Fear looking to clean things up as well. He's going to be Scythe of Ice. Can they kill Fear? If they can get Fear off the map, they're going to force the buyback. Immediate buyback. There's the vacuum into the Firefly. So they managed to bring him down in exchange for TC. Demon. Eyeball and Fluff. Fluff not going to make it away. Hit with the Stormhammer off the buyback from Fear in the meantime. Going to see Rubik cleaned up as well. Now Roche is going to be back up like right now. And up Courier takes one shot, but not enough damage. And timing could not be better if you're an EG fan. Evil Geniuses should get a free Roshan here. TC did buy back, but without Rubik, without Chad, not a whole lot they can do. And what's becoming an emerging factor is that if Rubik's able to get a high priority spell, those are the fights that Liquid are winning. Mike has played very well all game, but you can't expect even a good player to get a big spell every time. Fiend's Grip becoming a very important spell. If he could get RP, that'd be a huge deal. Wall of Replica would be huge. if they could get that and turn it against EG. But it's beginning to, especially now, with the Aegis of the Immortal picked up, 2 sets of melee racks already gone in mid as well as in top. It's going to take a big play. EG can't just rely on the strength of their lineup now. They need a big play somewhere. Either a big mistake out of EG or a big play out of their Rubik. We can see TC's inventory basically full. And picking up the butterfly makes a ton of sense. I mean, he's going to have his damage. He's level 25, hitting for 380 some damage, give or take. Not quite the 400 base, to say nothing of God Strength, with the crit that comes from Fear. I don't know that I've ever seen a Sven quite this big and scary. And it's mostly, and the thing is, it's the hero himself's big and scary, but look who he has to help. He's got Magnus with Empower, and he has Overcharge from EO. Or IO, or however it's pronounced. I studied Italian in college, so whenever I see IO, it's EO. But, they've just got so many ways to make that Sven even more potent. And what I think this is going to come down to is Liquid didn't get enough work done when their team really was in their wheelhouse. And that's, of course, not just them making mistakes. It's a good place in EG to shut down pushes before they got started, so on and so forth. But at this stage, to be honest, Chen's not giving them anything. Even if he catches his whole team with Hand of God and with Mech, it's just level 2 on Hand of God, by the way. Even if he catches his whole team, it barely erases one swing of the sword from Fear. And he's swinging pretty fast. And yeah, here, just look at this. This madman is hitting for almost 700 damage before God Strength. Call down, going to ward them off at least for the moment. Bulba, another hero, or another player who can make a very big play here, and is going to have to if Liquid wants to have a shot. This is going to be midnight hour. No buybacks anywhere except on Bambo. They have to get a win here. EG looking to crack the tier 3. Playing very cautiously in the meantime. Jo and Fear staying hooked up, ready to relocate right on top of their faces if the moment is right. Something that's worth mentioning, I feel, for IX Mike, is getting that Ghost Scepter instead of a mobility item has really limited his ability to reliably steal spells. Talk about that a lot whenever I'm asked about ways to build Rubik and so on and so forth. And TC set back to the base by Chen after getting a little vision and farming out a bit. But not having a Force Staff, not having a Blink Dagger, those items make it very difficult to reliably get your hands on things like Fiend's Grip, like Reverse Polarity, and so on and so forth. But he's going to need to make a play now. Melk has rotated up to top. He is away from the team. And they are just slow sieging this. No reason for them not to. Absolutely no reason for them not to. Liquid looking for an overextension out of EG, hoping for one. Fear, 4,000 health. With Empower. And then again, that's not even with God Strength. With Empower alone, he's hitting for just about 700 damage. Melk's still up by his lonesome up at top. And here comes Bambo. There's the Scythe Device. Going to be used on TC. They want to go for it. They're going to counter Scythe Bambo. And there's the RP. Going to catch Just Korok. And that's stolen. Mike stole it and got them both. No, now it's Shoes Demon. Dropping the hammer. Again off of the Refresher's Orb. And TC, the last man standing, but not for long. Rubik made the play he had to make. He got Reverse Polarity, but Demon, with that Refresher's Orb in his inventory, dropped the hammer a second time. And that will be the conclusion of this game as it's now Mega Creeps. A 60-minute long, almost 61 now, 61-minute long slugfest. And it ends with a big play from Rubik, but a bigger play from Demon, having freshly completed his Refresher's Orb. And EG, after being given a redemption to even be here, losing to Absolute Legends in round 1. They're going to make it 3 games in a row now that they've won over them. With a fantastic Game 1 performance. took us the absolute limit. 61 minutes, 9 seconds. The official game time. 36-29, the final kill score. And again, EG beating Liquid a few days ago, beating them 2-0, hung a goose egg on them. Now takes another Game 1 win. Liquid, the favorites coming in, they're up against it. Gonna have to turn that bagel into a breadstick in a hurry if they want to extend their chances at a G1 LAN run. EG, though, just one game away, and I'll tell you what, they've been there a few times and looking to go back again. They're thinking LAN and they're thinking sweep. I'm AC, you're watching one more game, TV2. Put this one in the books. Game 2 of this best of 3 coming up next. Make sure you check out all of your coverage at g1.2p.com. See you in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.